Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode of Five for Talking, arguably the last of the season, and then it will be open season for the off season. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show. Yeah, he's there. We're looking forward to July 1st free agency. I'm sure we'll be back at that point. We won't talk about any rumors or trades or anything that's happened yet. I know he wants to. I see him getting excited. We're gonna start off talking about how we were right that the Panthers would win, and that's it. No, the Panthers won the cup. Good for them. They're definitely the best team in the NHL. I don't really think it's negotiable at this point. I think I watching the series, I mean, it's hard to deny what kind of players Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are. I think that's really hard. It's they're so good.
Yeah. It's, I mean, going back to the Panthers, it was impressive what they were able to accomplish with a lot of hurt players. Like you heard the thing about Kachuk, like I think his abductor was torn off the bone and he was playing with a hernia, and a couple other players were hurt. It's crazy. Um, but the right team won because that team is built for the playoffs. Um, and yeah, what else is there to say?
Yeah, just I think listen, we're going to be honest here and I'm sure as usual typical comment section. People are gonna be like, "You didn't even watch the games." Well, yeah, okay, good for you. The team that we thought Edmonton was, not so much you. You were kind of nicer than I was, but at least to some extent, the team that we thought Edmonton was is who showed up in the finals.
Yeah, and because of who they are, I think management realizes that they need to address
They do. Listen,
those issues.
it was easy to talk poo to us when we were talking about how bad the goaltending was and they were playing really well. They were on a hot streak, or how bad the defense was. And people were like, Have you looked at their Not, they have very little defensive defensemen on their team. And to call Darnell Nurse like a defensive defenseman is a stretch. He's more of just a dirty player to an extent in the playoffs, at least. I'm not saying he can't play defense. Let's not get that twisted. He's an NHL player. Um, but I think in the goaltending department, you have what? Like
Not really NHL caliber
you have
goaltending.
you have one guy who's arguably statistically, like category wise, the worst goalie of the last 10 years in Picard, whatever you want to call him. And then you have what's his face that I for some reason I just forgot his name, Skinner,
Skinner,
who's probably the 32nd best starting goalie in the NHL.
like Skinner is so hot and cold. Like when on, he's on for a few games and
But it's
then
like
he's cold again. So inconsistent.
Pickard's
And
sorry, go.
this is the type of team that can't have inconsistent goaltending.
Well,
Um,
they both had good games in the playoffs. They
yeah,
did. But if
but
you
you're
look at
always taking a risk. You're always
exactly,
taking a risk on who to put in because you have no idea who's going to be on that night.
and if you look at regular season records over the last, I think, three seasons when Pickard's been, or two seasons on Edmonton, the team is just a good team. They're going to win games. They're not like the worst team in the NHL. We're not saying that. It's just they're not a top tier team, and they play out of their limit when they get in the playoffs, which is great because you deserved it. They played so well this playoffs to get where they are. That's not what I'm saying here. It's just when you look at the way they played in the finals, you see the team that everyone has been picking apart. Because, like I said,
Yeah.
Skinner has been hot and cold for 3 years. And every time he gets hot, everyone's like, "Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong." And then all of a sudden, he turns back to the person that we thought he was. And is it just because the team in front of him is playing really well?
They have to.
Like when they played, and this is not to take away from them. We've talked about this already. And we have a lot of people that we know who are Edmonton fans. They played a really dirty style of hockey in the playoffs, which is fine because in the playoffs sometimes it takes something a little extra to get you there. And I think Florida plays that too. But I think the Florida was the first team that they ran into that could give them back the physicalness and the dirtiness that they were dishing out, and they didn't like that. And you saw that firsthand. We talked about this. in the line brawl where the five Florida players just beat the crap out of the five Edmonton players. It was like
Yeah, they
a
didn't really do
demolition.
anything. Yeah, they didn't push back. Um, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you know, going into the playoffs, like I give Edmonton credit. They do step up when they get into the
Yeah,
playoffs. Like
they
they
play
have that
way above
ability.
their depth.
But once you shut down McDavid and Draisaitl,
There's nothing
like
there. And I think it's insane to me, and you can comment on this before unless you want to talk about something else with it. It's insane. Absolutely insane to me. The amount of people that came to me at work, and I say work a lot, but we work with like he used to work with me. There's a lot of people there. So it's not like there's one or two hockey fans. There's like hundreds of hockey fans to talk to that were telling me, "Oh, it's they're losing because Zach Hyman isn't there. Wait till if Zach Hyman comes back." Like, do you think Zach Hyman was winning them this cup?
I think it would have made a difference, but I don't
No,
think
they're not
it
going
would
to
have
win the
been.
cup with him.
Yeah, like I don't think. I think when Florida's on their game, it doesn't matter what happens. Like, it's a huge loss. I'm
Yeah,
not denying that because now they have Corey Perry playing on the first line. It's like I don't think he was built for that, especially at his age. You know what I mean?
no, he could
Um,
barely move out there.
but would it made a difference? Yeah, I would say it would make a difference. But Florida is just a better team. Once they find a way to play their game, and once they figure out their opponent, it's over.
They did the
It's
same thing to the
over.
Leafs. they let the
That's
Leafs
everyone.
they let the Leafs fool around for a bit, and then they figured the Leafs out, and they're like, "Forget it, it's over."
I mean, the hardest matchup was the Leafs. Okay, whatever, but they absolutely dominated Carolina. Dominated them. Like, and
And it's weird
it was
with
just,
Carolina is the only team that they played in this playoffs where I don't think they had to figure anything out. They just walked right in the door and were like, "It's over, just go away."
and but like you can also say that Florida was getting better as they were going deeper into the playoffs. you
It,
know,
it's one of those situations where, if I'm being brutally honest, I think that Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Toronto were all as good of a team on paper going into this playoffs as Edmonton was. Like any one of those teams could have gave Edmonton a run for their money, and Florida demolished all of them and then beat Edmonton.
yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't want to really go into hypotheticals. It's
We're not going
possible.
into
Everything's
hypotheticals.
possible.
I'm saying on a piece of paper, if you looked at the Leafs roster and what they did this season, you would say they could beat Edmonton. If you looked at Carolina or Tampa Bay, you
I
could make
refuse to.
that argument.
I refuse to give Toronto credit.
I'm going
And
to, but I also don't care. I don't. I'm not. We're not people that dwell on the Leafs winning. Like we already, it's so expected for them not to do anything that like I don't care.
um, yeah, I expect them to win, but I mean, we could save that for another conversation.
Save that for another
It's
conversation.
hmm?
Save it.
Yeah, we'll save it.
We'll save it. All right.
But
So you want to talk about some stuff, or you want to keep talking about this stuff?
no, I mean, it'll be interesting what Florida does going into next season. Obviously, I don't think they'll be able to keep Bennett, Marchand, and Ekblad on the same team because they're all of them are going to ask for raises, uh, because of what they've done. I think they keep Ekblad and Bennett, and then I think Marchand is the odd man out. Um,
I
but
think
yeah, it's just it'll be interesting what they do next season, and just before I end my point, they're going to be just as good next year. They'll find a way.
no.
They will find a way.
If they can get, they don't really need much more than what they have, and then you can always make your little deadline moves right at the end. So
Yeah, all they got to do is create the next best third line, and they just dominate again. Because that's what they do. They got great depth players that just step up. And they always find a way, man. They always find a way.
I agree. Um,
You know what? I would also say right now they are a dynasty. Three
yeah,
times in a
three
row,
times
they
in a
made
row.
two. They're 2-1 because they made it three.
Well, Tampa
Made it,
Bay made it three times in a row and won twice, right, to the finals, and then Florida also did it. So I mean, that is what it is.
yeah. But anyway,
Um, You want to move on to some trades before we talk about hypotheticals, since you already mentioned Brad Marchand?
Sure.
Um, I think the Ducks are just dumping salary with Zegras, and I think that's a huge indicator that they do want to take a shot at Marner.
I think is it safe to say that they've lost confidence in Zegras?
I mean, I don't. How good was he really? Like,
When he was healthy, I thought he was good.
he had his little flashes of like, wow, I can't believe he did that move. But like, as an overall player, like, I don't think he ever progressed to the level of like all-star status. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was
I think
almost
that had
there,
a lot to do with health.
but is he gonna stay healthy?
That's the issue. That's the risk that Philadelphia's taking.
Right? And like, I gotta give some kind of credit for the return they got. I mean, you got two picks and a player. I mean, I don't know what Ryan Poling's doing for you really, but
Yep.
I mean that is what it is. I think the Kraken getting Marchment is a little more interesting.
He also has his health issues, like he has a
He
tendency.
does, and he was
But
inconsistent.
I think it's a good pickup. I think it makes the Kraken more difficult to play against. Does it take him to the next step, to the next level? I don't know. I'm not
I
so
mean,
sure yet.
I know Dallas wanted to free up money. The Kraken is a team that really confuses me because I can't tell what they're trying to do. Are they trying to win or are they trying to lose?
I'm not sure.
Like, because they're not going to make the playoffs with that team, and they're not going to lose with that team. So, I mean, that is what it is. Jonathan Taves signing with the with the Jets, where it's like, I'm kind of baffled that the Jets even considered paying this
Two
kind of
million.
money. Yeah, I,
Um,
I
I
how
mean,
old? 38 years old, hasn't played in 2 years.
I think it's 37, 38, but coming back to his hometown. I mean, it's a great story. He's been off for a couple of years. Um, hopefully, he can be effective for him. I don't expect him to be the Jonathan Taves of the prime Chicago Blackhawk era, but you know, he could probably be a good depth player because I don't see him playing in the second line. Obviously, not the first. Um, but yeah, and they still haven't signed Ehlers, have they? I guess he's going to test the open market.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I like it is what it is. I just think it. I mean, for a third line center that's that old and through all like his issues, it hasn't played $2 million seems crazy. I'd give him probably like $765,000.
And there's always that chance that like he could, you know, it might not work out, and he might not actually be healthy enough. Like it's so risky. But yeah,
Stars got Duchesne 4 years, 18 million. I think that's crazy.
decent. What do you? In what way? What do you think?
I think that's like for what he's contributing at his like he's not that old. What he's contributing, what they need on that team for that price, that's crazy. $4.5 million a year. What are we talking about here? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is if if Tavares is asking for a nickel more than what they just paid Duchesne, like you're not signing Tavares.
There's that whole thing about the no tax and all that crap. Um,
Does 4.5 million is nothing. My brother in Christ for Duchesne. Duchesne could have left and got a 2 million, like 8 million, 2 year, $8 million contract somewhere else is per season.
I don't know. I think he had a decent year last year. Um, yeah, I mean, what can I say? Good on them.
What was this other one you wanted to see? Yeah, Frederick,
I don't get this one.
Trent Frederick. It's a long term for. I mean, okay, he's not bad. He's young. He's fine. But what has he done to earn an 8 year contract?
That's the thing. Like he was I didn't see him that much in the playoffs. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's just trying to lock up people on relatively team friendly contracts. But and my thing is, for 8 years, what happens if after season three he just sucks? What are you doing? No one's taking that $4 million contract for 8 years. It's what, four
I
and
don't
a
know.
half million, I think, per year, something like that.
Between 3.5 and 4.
Yeah, so it's 375. It's not like the worst contract ever. It's just 8 years is a lot of years.
I guess like it becomes a good contract when the cap goes up. Like, because
I
then
mean, when the cap
I
hits
don't
the
know.
full maximum peak that it's going to hit, yeah, I guess. Um, I don't know. That it's the equivalent of the Leafs paying what they paid for Camp, and no one likes that contract.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Leon Kruk.
Yeah. Or Reeves. Anyways, let's talk about the Hall of Fame. So
Finally, McGillney, eh?
I knew you would want to talk about, so I brought it up. Your guy finally got in. McGillney, Chara, Thornton are the headliners here. You also had Duncan Keith, Jennifer Botterill, Brianna Decker announced today as we're filming this Tuesday.
Um, I mean, good on McGillney. Well deserved for Chara.
Well, Chara and Keith and Thornton are first. This is their first ballot, I believe.
First ballot. And is Carey like I see a picture of Carey
No,
Price.
no, no.
What?
So we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, go for it.
They announced the list of the full ballot for today, and then those were the people who are getting into the Hall of Fame. So the rest of the people who were announced today that are not in, um, sorry, Carey Price and Ryan Getzlaff, Tuukka Rask, Jason Spezza, PK Subban, Braden Holtby. Some of these people are around for a bit. Dustin Brown, Keith Yandel. Is there any of
I
those people
mean,
that you think should have got in?
ooh,
Because like I know people are gonna want to say Carey Price, but I don't think like he'll get in eventually. But his injuries and didn't give him the career that's like Hall of Fame worthy to his point where it's like he's gonna get in right away. For
did he
me,
even like officially retire? Did he announce it yet?
I don't even know. I would say for me, it's probably like Dustin Brown. He won 2 cups as the captain of LA. Dustin
Ryan
Brown,
Getzlaf?
or maybe I want to say Spezza, but I'd say Ryan Getzlaff over Spezza probably.
Because of the cup?
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with those. They both deserve it, but I probably get Getzlaf first. Um,
I mean, if you're talking Carey Price gets in, then PK Subban gets in as well.
but he never won a cup.
No, but I'm saying if
Yep.
if you're gonna give Carey Price the benefit of the doubt to make the Hall of Fame based on what he did, PK Subban for that brief period was one of the best defensemen in all of the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, I would give the edge to maybe Carey Price because him and Weber carried that Montreal team to the finals a few years back. Um, and they barely made it to the playoffs that year too. um, but yeah, I mean, they're both going to get in eventually, but I probably would give the edge to Carey Price.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else on that. Did you want to talk about your hypotheticals?
Um, I mean, what? Who do you think the Leafs should be focusing on, like going into the offseason? Like, obviously, they're gonna have to make some trades if they're gonna like preach this message of changing the DNA. They're gonna have to make some trades because we gotta be honest. Like the free agency pool is pretty thin.
Now it
Um,
is because we know what the options really are.
yeah,
I think priority number one for me, under all pretenses, is you trade Morgan Riley. I'm not going into the season with Morgan Riley. Period. .com. That's it. He's off my team. That's my first thing. Not even signing anybody. I'm getting rid of him and I'm getting back whatever I can. Um, even if
Not even
it's
trying to sign Nyes.
we'll do that later. Well, I don't need to do that right now. Why don't you tell the people what you heard on the rumor mill? Nick was out making calls. He made a few
I was making
calls.
calls.
He was
No, I
making
was
calls.
watching.
No,
I
he
was,
was
ma- I
making
was
calls.
watching just before it came on. I was watching Overdrive, and they were talking
Don't ever
about
admit to anyone that you watch Overdrive, okay? And then
whatever.
let's go from there.
They were talking about, Marner looking for a house in Vegas. So
Well, we knew he's gone. He hasn't talked to the Leafs at all. So
it's his choice. He could do whatever he wants.
yeah.
But you know, it's if he's going to be signing with Vegas, like obviously Vegas is going to have to dump some salary, and they're going to have to get rid of somebody. It's either Stone or Thomas Turtle. But going back to the Leafs, yeah, like I said before, like they're going to have to look at making trades. They have to change some personnel up front. So it's like Camp, Yarncroc, those guys. I don't see the value of keeping them around anymore. So trade away some of that salary, all of that salary preferably, and bring in some good players. Like I would love to see some players coming through. Like we've talked about it before. Zibanejad, if they can make it happen, if they can sign, if they can, I don't know. When we look at these articles, like the Leafs are linked to everyone, and it's like the media is just being the media. But some of these players I would love to see some of these players come through. Mangiapane would be a good depth player if they can get it for cheap.
I think there's a good chance they could get Zibanejad.
I mean, if they can make it happen, great. Marchand, as much as it's just a pain in the ass, he would be a great depth, a great
I
player.
don't think he's worth paying, right? We talked about that. That's the
yeah,
problem.
like I know he's looking for $8 million, but that's insane. That's friggin' insane. But I don't know. It's just they would have to change the personnel, and then Morgan Riley's like he's from the Brian Burke era. Like that's how long he's been with this organization. I think we have to kind of make a team decision here, make the hard decision, and it's time to look at different options. If we can get him to waive his no trade clause, I think it's time, and that would help trying to change the DNA of this team. But because he just looked out of place last year. Like
yeah, and you have to make a double move here. If you're going to get rid of one of your biggest pieces on offense, which is Marner, to change the DNA, then you also have to get rid of one of the defensemen. I think to completely shake everything up and go fresh, both of them had to go. That's my opinion on it.
It's just like I don't think he looked off in Berube's system.
He's looked off for years, and people just don't want to admit it.
Well, like I don't want to throw shade at the guy, but because every once in a while when we get to the playoffs, then he turns into somebody else. Like there's Morgan Riley, but that didn't really happen this past year. It's like he had a pretty bad regular season overall. I know he kind of played a little bit better when Carlo came, but overall it was just a bad season, and it was not that much of a great season in the playoffs. That's concerning. But yeah, they're just going to make changes, man. I would love to see some changes up front, and everybody. I don't want to prolong this, but I have to bring this up. Everybody wants to talk about, we always focus on Marner. Okay, like enough is enough. Like we're focusing on Marner because Marner's contract is up. If it was Matthews and Nylander in the same situation, we'd be doing the exact same thing with them. Okay?
You have to.
So like shit. They've signed contracts. They're here for another 3 years. Matthews is at least, and Nylander's here for a while longer. So they're here. You can't really do much with that. Um,
That's what I'm
but
saying. Your option is Mitch Marner.
yeah,
You don't have any other option.
yeah. But you know, uh, the other thing that we could touch base on is uh, they're having some struggles with negotiating with Nyes and Tavares. All right, if
And
they
what's
want to
your
leave,
thoughts here? If Tavares is asking for more than the dirt cheapness that we're trying to pay him, are you getting rid of him?
which is what?
I
Because
don't know. Like
I wouldn't
people
sign him
are.
for more than 5.
Steve Dangle is very convinced that he should be getting paid $6 million a season, which I think is psychotic. He already got paid. If you want to play for the Leafs, I will give you this is your options. You can have 5, let's say, and you can get 3 years or 2 years, and I'll give you 4 million for 4 years. I'll give you a 4x4.
It's now is the time to rectify some of the bullshit contracts that they were dealing with before.
Yeah.
Now
Give
is the
him the
time.
Duchesne contract,
Yeah,
4.5
now
for
is the
4 million
time
for four
to
seasons.
stand. Yeah, now is the time to put your foot down. All right, enough is enough. Like we understand why the Leafs were not as successful as they should have been. It's because they don't have enough good depth players. Okay, so they got to get these guys for cheaper than whatever they're asking for, so that they can sign other good players.
And in
That's it.
fairness to the situation, John Tavares got a happy, fun time paid contract already. You were one of the highest paid players in all of the NHL already.
Yeah, and he won his case against the Canadian government. So like he didn't lose any money. But you know, Nyes is probably the one that's going to be getting more money. He's the younger one.
But if you have to
I don't
choose
know
between Tavares and Nyes, you're definitely taking Nyes.
because that's the type of player that they need right now. They need a power forward. Um, we're not saying that Tavares is not effective, but we have to make the decision that if we're going to keep Tavares is going to have to play on the third line. He's getting slower. He's effective on the playoffs, but he is getting slower, and it's going to be tough with the matchups going into the playoffs. Um, Nyes, I don't know. What do you think in terms of dollars?
I
I
mean,
don't
it
know what he's
depends.
asking
I don't
for,
want
but
you. It's hard to throw like a superstar level contract out in the air because he's not on the level of Nylander or Marner or Matthews.
not yet.
Not even maybe Tavares. But for the potential he has, you have to put him ahead of him, right? So I'm saying I'm probably giving you a bridge because I know you're not going long term with me. So I'm probably going to bridge you maybe like 7.5 million, 7 million for 2 years, 3 years, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about 7 to 8. I was
Yeah.
thinking around there too, but
And I know you're
that's
not going to
it.
take it long term. So take
Can't
a
be double
bridge.
digits. Yeah, it's like yeah, but if he's asking for double digits, you know
You're
what I
not
mean?
even, he's not worth a nickel over
Like
8 million, in my opinion.
let a team give you an offer sheet. You could take the 3 first round
If
draft
you
picks
can
in
have a
return.
Sam Bennett for $8 million, I'm definitely not paying Matthew Knives more than $8 million.
Yeah, like they got to put their foot down, man. They need to spend wisely.
But like
There are
Tavares
some.
has already now Tavares screwed himself. If this is true, what they're saying, you have a comparable. It's Matt Duchene. Does everything the same as you, and he just took $4.5 million for 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean,
So Tavares getting paid more than 5 to me is asinine. You don't have to give him a favorable contract. This is not the Raptors, and you don't have to give him a thank you, Kyle Lowry, when we won a championship contract because number one, he didn't win a championship, and number two, you've already given him that contract. He already got paid.
he needs to. He needs to
His career
pay them
earnings are
back.
massive. He needs to take a team friendly contract or just leave. That's just the
Yeah,
end. That's how it is. It's simple.
yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's what they should take a look at and what they need to do going forward, man. They need to start spending wisely. I mean, jeez. But yeah, in terms of people coming through or people coming in, I've mentioned a couple people. It all depends on who is still available on July 1st. But it's yeah. I mean, I don't know who else would you like to see come
I mean,
through.
I really like the idea. I see a lot of people online seem really happy about the idea of the Leafs trading for Zibanejad, and they're under the impression that the Rangers would do it for very cheap.
That'll be cool.
I mean, I mean, there's a few people I'd like to see them go for Carlson. I really like that Riley for Carlson trade. Signing wise, I don't really care. Just get upgrades. It doesn't. I'm not opinionated on who you need to sign. Just upgrades and get them for good contracts.
It seems as though that the Leafs might have to think about taking a bit of a step back in terms of the talent that they bring in, in comparison to what they had last year, in order to see what is available the season beyond, which is the big one.
I mean, one of the
But
big things that we left
who knows?
behind in our when we were making our let's decide who the Leafs should sign and doing the offseason video was the Leafs have 4 or 5 guys just sitting in the Marlies that are actually pretty good players that could make a come up. Like
Easton Cowan.
Ethan Cowan, like number one. Like we don't even have to name all of them, but there's a few guys there that have potential that could save us a lot of money just by bringing them up.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. But what perfect time because okay, here's another thing, and maybe I don't know. Tell me what you think. You bring a guy like Marchand in, and you have Easton Cowan playing the same line as him. I mean, who knows? He might pick up on a few things, and you got yourself a pretty good, decent player. I don't know. It's if you bring these effective depth uh, rat guys, and you pair them up with some really good young players. Hey, man, who knows what you might have in the future, man? But I think you're gonna definitely need those guys in the Marlies. Easton Cowan, he's got to come up next year. He has to because you got to fill out those roster spots with some of these guys. So yeah,
Yeah, I know what they think, right? Before we just end this, they're thinking let's let him play a couple of games on the Leafs next year, and then we'll stash him on the Marlies, and we don't have to waste his rookie contract. No, he's got to play. He needs to play.
he's got to play. He's got to play. Like I don't know what they're gonna do with Reeves. I don't think at this point. I don't know. I don't know. But guys like Camp and Jan Kroc, they're gonna have to like ship him
Camp
out.
and Yarncroc, you can probably find moves for. I think Reeves, you have to buy out his contract. Don't they get one buyout?
They got one buyout. I don't know how much they would have to pay him and for how many years. Um, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you could
Um,
always just stash him in the Marlies. I'm sure no one's going to pick him up, and if they do, good for you. You don't have to pay the contract.
yep. But
Anyways,
yeah,
that's it. I don't have anything else.
no man, time for bed.
All right, bedtime, guys. Thank you for watching. Let us know how stupid we are in the comments below, because I'm sure you will. Goodbye.